The House will come to order. This morning, the pledge will be said by Cooper Kimbriel he's homeschooled in Crawford, Colorado, and he's a guest of Representative Soper.
Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Randall, please call the roll.
Representatives Arndt, Baisley.
Oh, I'm not out of
Representative Baisley.
Yeah, excused. You can go ahead and excuse him.
Excused. Benavides. Benavides. Excused. Byrd. Bockenfeld, excused. Buck. Buckner, excused. Winsale. Caravale. Carver. Carver. Excused. Catlin. Catlin. Excused. Champion. Coleman. Cutter. Duran. Escar. Exum. Froelich. Garnett. Geithner. Representative Baisley is present. Geithner. Excused. Gonzalez Gutierrez. Gray. Gray. Excused. Herod. Excused. Holtorf. Representative Carver is present. Hooton. Humphrey. Humphrey. Excused. Jackson. Jackson. Excused. Harquez Lewis. Excused. Kennedy. Kipp. Kraftharp. Landgraf. Representative Benavides is present. Landgraf. Excused. Larson. Liston. Lontine. McCluskey. McKean. McLaughlin. Excused. Oh, is present. She's pretty. Melton. Michael St-Jeanne. Mullica. Mullica. Excused. Neville. Pelton. Ransom. Rich. Roberts. Sane. Sandridge. Singer. Singer. Excused. Sirota. Snyder. Soper. Sullivan. Tipper. Excused. Titone. Good morning. Representative Geithner is present. Representative A. Valdez. Representative Humphrey is present. Representative D. Valdez. Van Winkle. Weissman. Williams. Wilson. Good morning. Woodrow. Young. Madam Speaker.
my gosh, with 14 people excused. So that makes 51 present, 14 excused. We have a quorum. Representative Froelich.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I move the Journal of Thursday, February 20, 2020. Wow, that's cool. Be approved as corrected by the Chief Clerk.
You all have heard the motion. All those in favor say aye. All opposed say no. Representative Melton, I think when you're term limited, you're just going to wake up every morning and around 9:15 just scream, no! The motion passes. Announcements and introductions, Representative Esgar. Representative Esgar has a tribute, so if members could please be quiet.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Members, I do have a tribute, and I have some guests on the floor and in the gallery to go with this tribute, and I'll talk about them after Mr. Randall reads the tribute at length.
The House of Representatives convened in the 72nd General Assembly hereby extends sincere commendations to TRIO programs. TRIO federal outreach and student services programs have been assisting low-income individuals, first-generation college students, and individuals with disabilities in furthering their education for over 40 years. TRIO includes 8 programs that provide valuable educational services to Colorado residents looking to progress through the academic pipeline from middle school to post-baccalaureate programs. It also includes a training program for directors and staff of TRIO projects. The members of the Colorado House of Representatives extend sincere commendations to TRIO programs and are proud to recognize and thank TRIO program staff for their hard work. We wish those students involved in the programs the best of luck in their future honorable endeavors. Tribute on request of Representative Danae Esgar, given this 21st day of February 2020, State Capitol in Denver.
Representative Esgar.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Members, thank you for your attention. I just wholeheartedly believe in the TRIO programs, and not just because I actually worked as a student advisor for Upward Bound, both at PCC and CSU Pueblo, but because I've seen it work. I've seen it work for the high school students who have such a yearning to get into higher education and move forward with their education and improving their lives. And the staff that goes with it, I know how much you all work. I don't think I know a single staff member in TRIO who works the 40 hours a week that you get paid for, but actually works a little more than that. I just can't tell you what an honor it is. We have people in the gallery, and both sides of the chamber are lined with Upward Bound and TRIO program and Talent Search program students and staff. So members, first of all, I want to say thank you to everyone for coming, but personally, I invited the Pueblo groups here on the floor with me, so literally Pueblo is in the house today with amazing students and staff. So if we can give them all a round of applause. Thank you, members.
I don't know what you're saying. Representative Kipp. Representatives Kipp and Young.
Good morning, members. Representative Young and I are up here to welcome our clubhouses to the Capitol today. We have wonderful programs in our local clubhouses. If you're not familiar with them, and if you have one locally, I really highly recommend you go visit, because they work with folks to really drive wonderful outcomes, and they do great stuff with our folks. I'm going to let Representative Young talk about the program.
Well, members, you know I love celebrating birthdays, and our Greeley Frontier House is going to have a 30th birthday on April 1st. This is a community-based program that serves the mental health needs of people who are sustaining chronic challenges in this area. And as we talk about, this is an area that we need to provide more and more supports. The holistic care in a clubhouse is 2 weeks is equal to, well, 1 year is equal to 2 years of psychiatric services. So you can see that this is a great model. Representative Kipp and I have the only 2 clubhouses in this state of Colorado. So we encourage you to look at this model and talk to your community because it is a community-based model.
Come visit our communities and see Spirit Clubhouse and Frontier Clubhouse.
Representative Williams. Ann Geithner.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Members, we just wanted to come up here and, as a part of the announcement, let you know that Representative Geithner and myself had the distinct honor and pleasure of welcoming the President of the United States to our wonderful state of Colorado. It was a wonderful experience, and there was much discussion specifically surrounding. There are many other pictures. We tried to get one with the both of us, so bear with us. But the point is, there was much discussion about the Space Force specifically, and having Colorado become the permanent place for the Space Force. The governor was there as well. He wasn't necessarily with us in the line to greet the president. However, he did show up and was allowed to greet the president at the back of Air Force One and given some time to help pitch for the Space Force to be here in Colorado. And at the end of the day, this isn't a Republican or a Democrat issue. This is something that will benefit all Coloradans. So I would encourage everyone here to contact your congressman or congresswoman, as well as directly contact the White House and encourage them to make that decision for Colorado to be the permanent home for the Space Force.
Representative Geithner.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. And also, we get a little divisive in here. If you could show the next picture. But in the spirit of coming together, we recognize that the governor's tie needed some help. There was no mirror around, so we asked, hey, Governor, can we help you? We went ahead and helped fix the governor's tie so that he looked presentable for the president. But no, really, it was a good time. The governor was very gracious and very kind. It was an awesome experience, and we're just glad that we could be a part of it.
Right.
You didn't give him any shoes? Fix those too.
He actually had Colorado sneakers on. It was pretty amazing. They were pretty impressive. So
that's all. We just thank you again, and we just encourage everyone to contact the administration, contact your congressmen and women, and encourage them to help get this over the finish line and make Colorado the permanent place for our Space Force. Thanks again.
Any other announcements or introductions? Seeing none, the first order of business is consideration of memorials. Mr. Randall, please read the title of House Memorial 1003. Oh, I'm sorry, it's 1004.
House Memorial 1004 by Representative D. Valdez, memorializing former Representative Leo L. Lucero.
Representative Valdez.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I move for the adoption of House Memorial 1004, and I request that it be read at length.
Mr. Randall, please read the memorial.
Whereas, our respected former colleague, Leo L. Lucero, a past member of the Colorado General Assembly, departed this life on September 24th, 2019. And whereas Representative Lucero was born September 18th, 1928 in Boone, Colorado, to John and Venita Lucero. And whereas Representative Lucero graduated from Centennial High School in Pueblo, Colorado. And whereas Representative Lucero served our nation as a sergeant in the Marine Corps. And whereas Representative Lucero was a teacher and school administrator for Pueblo School District 60 for many years. And whereas in 1970, Representative Lucero ran for and was elected to the Colorado House of Representatives for House District 36. And whereas in 1972, Representative Lucero ran for re-election and became the representative for House District 42, which he served until 1984. And whereas during his 14 years serving as a member of the House of Representatives, Representative Lucero served on the Agriculture and Livestock, Labor and Employment Relations, Game, Fish, and Parks, and the Legislative Audit Committees, and as chair of the Education Committee. And whereas Representative Lucero was preceded in death by his son Larry and is survived by his wife Eleanor, his daughters Cindy and Judy, son Gerald, and many grandchildren, great-grandchildren, and great-great-grandchildren. And whereas Representative Lucero was a devoted public servant who will be remembered for his hard work, his dedication, and accomplishments. Now therefore be it resolved by the House of Representatives of the 72nd General Assembly of the State of Colorado that in the death of Leo L. Lucero, the people of the state of Colorado have lost a dedicated public servant and an outstanding citizen, and that we, the members of the Colorado House of Representatives, do hereby extend our heartfelt sympathy to the members of his family and pay tribute to a man who served his state well and faithfully. Be it further resolved that copies of this memorial be sent to Eleanor Lucero, Cindy Bertolina, Judy Lucero, and Gerald Lucero.
Representative Valdez.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, under Rule 26F, I request a recess, or prior to that, I would like to speak on the memorial, but also, members, you can please be seated. Members, we gather here this morning for a memorial for an extraordinary individual, Leo Lucero. He passed away last year, but he represented Southern Colorado in an extraordinary way. He was born in Boone, Colorado, and lived on the Mesa in Pueblo, but his tenacity to continue to advocate for individuals on all levels, especially in education, but most importantly, improving the lives of each and every individual that he came across. Lucero was a member of the Nine Who Care, the Hispanic caucus in the 1970s that included Representative Polly Baca, Speaker Ruben Valdez, Paul Sandoval, Castro, Don Sandoval, Bob Martinez, Laura de Herrera, and Federico Peña. And with that, I'd like to acknowledge the family that is here with us, Eleanor, Cindy, Judy, each and every individual, and Gerald. Thank you. And we appreciate it. And at this time, I would like other individuals to come and speak on this.
Sure. If there are any current members who'd like to speak, we'll do that now, and then we'll go into recess for former members to speak. Representative Esgar.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I met Representative Lucero in 2016 right here on the House floor. He and his family were up here in Denver and decided to come by the Capitol for a visit. And they were sitting over here in the corner before my desk was over here. And a sergeant said, "Hey, there's a former representative here. Would you like to meet him?" And I said, "Sure, absolutely." The smile on his face is, I think, what I remember the most when I went over and introduced myself and told him that I represent Pueblo as well. And his face lit up and he smiled and he just started talking about his time here at the Capitol with his family. It was a very touching moment. We even took a picture that day. I still have it. It was college day, and I was wearing my CSU Pueblo shirt. And I thought it was really interesting to find out when I was trying to find out more about this former representative that he headed the House Education Panel from 1975 to 76 that successfully pushed the renaming of the University of Southern Colorado, which is now Colorado State University Pueblo, but previously had been known as Southern Colorado State College. We have a long history of this college in Pueblo, whose name has changed probably 4 times, and to know that he was successful in changing it from Southern Colorado State College to the University of Southern Colorado, which is what my degree actually says, I thought was touching, especially knowing the first time I met him, I was wearing my CSU Pueblo shirt. So it breaks my heart that you all have to be here today. But at the same time, I hope you know how welcome you are here on the House floor and what a legacy your family member, your father, your husband has left in this state and for the people of Pueblo. We really aspire to follow in his footsteps every single day.
Representative Buentello.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Thank you to Representative Valdez for putting together this tribute. I'm proud to be a co-sponsor with Representative Esgar. I myself never got the chance to meet your husband, grandfather, uncle, Representative Lucero, but I know of him. And I know what a tremendous legacy he has left behind for really all of Pueblo County, not just the Mesa. I know the impact he had on education, and though I never got the chance to meet him, I feel that I serve in his shadow as the representative for the Mesa with Representative Valdez. And I just want to tell you what an inspiration his legacy is to me as a representative and as a Latina today. And, you know, I hope that I someday can live up. I certainly aspire to that kind of legacy. And, you know, in my service here in the House, I cannot believe what an impact my service has on my family. And I want to thank each and every one of you for sharing this wonderful man with us here in the service of Colorado. We appreciate it, and from the bottom of all of our hearts, thank you.
Are there any other members who would like to speak? Then the House will be in recess to have former members speak. Representative Valdez.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Under Rule 26F, I request a recess to allow former members to speak.
The House is in recess. Is Mr. Representative Hernandez? Yes.
Just noting I'm allowed to cross the invisible line now. My name is Rob Hernandez. I served in this chamber starting in 1991, and then whatever they call it, ascended, moved, demoted to the Senate after that. But even more important than that is that one of the reasons I ran for office is because I saw Leo get elected. I thought, wow, if he can do that, so can I. And it was so exciting to think someone who had a last name sounded like mine and looked like me and thought like we did and could represent the community was just extraordinary. He was setting an example. And my family, which is Bob and Peggy Hernandez, were very close friends with Eleanor and with Leo. And we spent many a time at holidays, Easters, Christmases, those types of things. Matter of fact, my dad was Judy's Nino, and what that is short for is padrino. And you'll hear these terms of endearment in the Hispanic community, padrino or Nino, madrina or Nina, or you'll hear terms like comadre and compadre. Those are terms that really connect the families together, connect them as a community. And so you have this extended family that is always there. And so watching to see what happened, I learned at a very young age that it could be done because Leo did it. And so he set the path, and his lovely wife, Eleanor, was very good friends with my mother. And yet what they were doing is saying, well, when you're going to run for office, you need to have these social graces to go with it. Be polite, say nice words. I learned a wonderful legacy of how to run for office and then what to do and how to behave once you got into office. So I just want you to know that to the Lucero family, all of you, Gerald, Judy, Cindy, and Eleanor, you left a legacy. I mean, I'm here because of that. And so that's why when we moved to Denver, I ran for office. So with that, I just want to say it's wonderful to see you all and to share these wonderful memories and to think of my mother and Eleanor and my dad and before he was Representative Lucio, actually Representative Lucero actually talking about running for office. I mean, that was absolutely unheard of, but he did it. It did it. It got it done. And remember all those little fundraisers and how many tamales and beans and tortillas and all of those things to bring the communities together. And it happened. It happened. So I'm happy to share those memories and to have been part of that history and that legacy and those wonderful memories. So again, thank you to the Lucero family for all you did for me and everybody else and for what Leo did for the state of Colorado and the city and county of Pueblo. Thank you very much, members.
Thank you, Representative Hernandez. Are there any other former members who would like to speak? Seeing none, the House will come back to order. The motion before us is the adoption of House Memorial 1004. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say no. The motion is adopted. Representative Valdez.
Madam Speaker, I move the current roll call of the House be added as co-sponsors.
If there's no objection, the current roll call will be added as co-sponsors to House Memorial 1004. Representative Valdez.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. At this time, I would like to introduce the family we have in the chamber here today to honor the memorial for former Leo Lucero, Eleanor, his wife, Cindy, Judy, and also Gerald. Thank each and every one of you for being here with us. Thank you very much.
Members, the House will stand in a brief recess to greet the guests. The House will come back to order. The next order of business, members, is third reading of bills, final passage. Mr. Randall, please read the title of House Bill 1103. Oh, I'm sorry. Janet's not here. Do you want to? Majority Leader Garnett.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I move to lay over House Bill 1103 until Monday, February 24th.
Seeing no objection, House Bill 1103 will be laid over till Monday, February 24th. Mr. Randall, please read the title of House Bill 1174.
House Bill 1174 by Representatives McKean and Valdez D., also Senator Tate, concerning modifications to sales tax statutes in order to address certain defects and anachronisms.
Majority Leader Garnett.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I move for the passage of House Bill 1174 on third reading and final passage.
The question before us is the passage of House Bill 1174 on third reading and final passage. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, Mr. Randall, please open the machine and members, please vote. Catlin Coleman Valdez. Please close the machine. With 60 aye votes, no votes, and 5 excused, House Bill 1174 is passed. Co-sponsors. Please close the machine. Mr. Randall, please read the title of House Bill 1175.
House Bill 1175 by Representatives McKean and Valdez D., also Senator Tate, concerning modifications to certain tax statutes in order to address defects and anachronisms.
Majority Leader Garnett.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I move for the passage of House Bill 1175 on third reading and final passage.
The question before us is the passage of House Bill 1175 on third reading and final passage. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, please open the machine and members, please vote. Please close the machine. With 60 aye votes, no votes, and 5 excused, House Bill 1175 is passed. Co-sponsors. Please close the machine. Mr. Randall, please read the title of House Bill 1176.
House Bill 1176 by Representative Valdez D., also Senator Tate, concerning modifications to the income tax statutes in order to address certain defects and anachronisms.
Majority Leader Garnett.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I move for the passage of House Bill 1176 on third reading and final passage.
The question before us is the passage of House Bill 1176 on third reading and final passage. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, Mr. Randall, please open the machine and members, please vote. McLaughlin. Please close the machine. With 60 aye votes, no votes, and 5 excused, House Bill 1176 is passed. Co-sponsors. Please close the machine. Mr. Randall, please read the title of House Bill 1135.
House Bill 1135 by Representatives Buck and McLaughlin, also Senator Todd, concerning removing the requirement for the Department of Education to administer a state assessment in social studies to high school students.
Majority Leader Garnett.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I move for the passage of House Bill 1135 on third reading and final passage.
The question before us is the passage of House Bill 1135 on third reading and final passage. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, Mr. Randall, please open the machine and members, please vote. Please close the machine. You guys are so silly. All right. With 60 aye votes, no votes, and 5 excused, House Bill 1135 is passed. Co-sponsors. Co-sponsors. Please close the machine. Mr. Randall, please read the title of House Bill 1155.
House Bill 1155, Representatives Valdez A. and Weissman, also Senator Hansen, concerning requirements the builders of new residences offer buyers options to accommodate higher efficiency devices.
Majority Leader Garnett.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I move for the passage of House Bill 1155 on third reading and final passage.
The question before us is the passage of House Bill 1155 on third reading and final passage. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, please open the machine and members please vote. Kip and Buck. Please close the machine. With 37 aye votes, 23 no votes, and 5 excused, House Bill 1155 is passed. Co-sponsors. Please close the machine. Mr. Randall, please read the title of House Bill 1167.
House Bill 1167 by Representative Arndt, Senator Moreno, concerning the relocation of the definition of alternative fuel from a part of the statutes in which is no longer in which the definition is no longer referenced to a part in the statutes in which the definition is referenced.
Majority Leader Garnett.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I move for the passage of House Bill 1167 on third reading and final passage.
The question before us is the passage of House Bill 1167 on third reading and final passage. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, Mr. Randall, please open the machine and members please vote. Sane. With 60, please close the machine. With 60 aye votes, no votes, and 5 excused, House Bill 1167 is passed. Co-sponsors. Please close the machine. Mr. Randall, please read the title of House Bill 1185.
House Bill 1185 by Representatives Hooton and Sane, all Senator Fields, concerning the continuation of the Colorado Kids Outdoors Advisory Council and in connection therewith implementing the recommendations contained in the 2019 Census Report by the Department of Regulatory Agencies.
Majority Leader Garnett.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I move for the passage of House Bill 1185 on third reading and final passage.
The question before us is the passage of House Bill 1185 on third reading and final passage. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, Ms. Randall, please open the machine and members please vote. Wilson, please close the machine. We're going to catch you one of these days. With 60 aye votes, no votes, and 5 excused, House Bill 1185 is passed. Co-sponsors. Please close the machine. Mr. Randall, please read the title of House Bill 1217.
House Bill 1217 by Representatives Gray and McKeon, Senator Moreno, concerning the continuation of marijuana financial services cooperatives in connection with implementing the recommendations contained in the 2018 Census Report by the Department of Regulatory Agencies.
Majority Leader Garnett.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I move for the passage of House Bill 1217 on third reading and final passage.
The question before us is the passage of House Bill 1217 on third reading and final passage. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, Mr. Randall, please open the machine and members please vote. Sandridge, please close the machine. With 53 aye votes, 7 no votes, and 5 excused, House Bill 1217 is passed. Co-sponsors. Please close the machine. Mr. Randall, please read the title of Senate Bill 37.
Senate Bill 37 by Senators Rodriguez and Fields, also Representative Singer, concerning the development of the strategic plan to implement a trusted interoperability platform.
Majority Leader Garnett.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I move for the passage of Senate Bill 37 on third reading and final passage.
The question before us is the passage of Senate Bill 37 on third reading and final passage. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, Mr. Randall, please open the machine and members, please vote. Buck. Please close the machine. Was that on purpose, Representative Baisley? I just want to catch someone. I don't even know. With 59 aye votes, 1 no vote, and 5 excused, Senate Bill 37 is passed. Co-sponsors. Please close the machine. Mr. Randall, please read the title of Senate Bill 60. Do you want to lay this over? Senate Bill 62.
Senate Bill 62 by Representatives Gardner and Lee, also Representatives Herod and Soper, concerning the enactment of the Colorado Revised Statutes 2019's depositive and statutory law of the state of Colorado.
Majority Leader Garnett.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I move for the passage of Senate Bill 62 on third reading and final passage.
The question before us is the passage of Senate Bill 62 on third reading and final passage. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, Mr. Randall, please open the machine and members, please vote. Baisley and Larson. Please close the machine. With 45 aye votes, 15 no votes, and 5 excused, Senate Bill 62 is passed. Co-sponsors. Please close the machine. Mr. Randall, please read the title of House Bill 1157.
House Bill 1157 by Representatives Roberts and Willis, Senator Donovan, concerning the Colorado Water Board Conservation Board's authority to use water and a water right owner voluntary loans to the board for in-stream flow purposes.
Majority Leader Garnett.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I move for the passage of House Bill 1157 on third reading and final passage.
The question before us is the passage of House Bill 1157 on third reading and final passage. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, Mr. Randall, please open the machine and members, please vote. Buck, Wilson, Williams. Please close the machine. With 60 aye votes, no votes, and 5 excused, House Bill 1157 is passed. Co-sponsors. Please close the machine. Mr. Randall, please read the title of Senate Bill 69.
Senate Bill 69 by Senator Garcia, also Representative Buentello, concerning the documentation required for a disabled veteran to receive a free transferable annual Parks Pass.
Majority Leader Garnett.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I move for the passage of Senate Bill 69 on third reading and final passage.
The question before us is the passage of Senate Bill 69 on third reading and final passage. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, please open the machine and members vote. Please close the machine. With 60 aye votes, no votes, and 5 excused, Senate Bill 69 is passed. Co-sponsors. Please close the machine. Let's see, where are we? Mr. Randall, please read the title of House Bill 1128.
House Bill 1128 by Representatives Bunteo and Wilson, all Senators Zenzinger and Priola, concerning education requirements for educators to increase awareness of special education issues.
Majority Leader Garnett.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I move for the passage of House Bill 1128 on third reading and final passage.
The question before us is the passage of House Bill 1128 on third reading and final passage. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, Mr. Randall, please open the machine and members please vote. Please close the machine. With 51 aye votes, 9 no votes, and 5 excused, House Bill 1128 is passed. Co-sponsors. Please close the machine. We are going to read reports, and then we will be going to second reading. Mr. Randall, please read reports of committees of reference.
Committee on Appropriations. I've finished the merits of the committee following House Bill 1022 be amended as follows. Now submitted before the committee. All in favor recommendation. House Bill 1032 before the committee. All in favor recommendation. House Bill 1039 be before the committee. All in favor recommendation. House Bill 1047 be amended as follows. Now submitted before the committee. All in favor recommendation. House Bill 1049 be amended. Be referred to the committee of the whole. Favor recommendation unamended. House Bill 1081 be amended as follows. Now submitted before the committee. All in favor recommendation. House Bill 1088 be before the committee. All in favor recommendation. House Bill 1127 be before the committee. All in favor recommendation. House Bill 1137 be amended as follows. Now submitted before the committee. All in favor recommendation. House Bill 1215 be amended as follows. Now submitted before the committee. All in favor recommendation. House Bill 1229 be before the committee. All in favor recommendation. House Bill 1300 be before the committee. All in favor recommendation. Committee on Education. After introduced merits, there is the committee recommends following. House Bill 1235 be amended as follows. Now submitted before the committee on Appropriations. Favor recommendation. House Bill 1280 be before the committee. All in favor recommendation. Committee on Energy and Environment. After introduced merits, there recommends following. House Bill 1142 be amended as follows. Now submitted before the committee on Finance. Favor recommendation. House Bill 1192 be amended as follows. Now submitted before the committee on Appropriations. Favor recommendation. Committee on Finance. After introduced merits, there recommends following. House Bill 1118 be referred to favor of the committee on Appropriations. House Bill 1139 be referred to favor of the committee on Appropriations. House Bill 1236 be amended as follows. Now submitted before the committee on Appropriations. Favor recommendation. Committee on Judiciary. After introduced merits, there recommends following. House Bill 1274 be postponed indefinitely. Senate Bill 61 be referred to the committee. Hold favor recommendation.
Majority Leader Garnett.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. And members, we're going to do a special orders calendar this morning that is pretty much just the general orders calendar plus a few easy bills out of appropriations. So with that, Madam Speaker, I move that the following bills be made special orders on February 21st at 9:49 a.m. House Bill 1024, House Bill 1060, House Bill 1136, House Bill 1066, House Bill 1165, House Bill 1275, Senate Bill 43, Senate Bill 113, House Bill 1145, House Bill 1178, House Bill 1266, House Bill 1022, House Bill 1032, House Bill 1049, House Bill 1215, House Bill 1229, and House Bill 1270.
Seeing no objection, those bills will be made special orders at 9:50 a.m. Representative Singer. You all have heard the motion. Seeing no objection, Representative Singer will take the chair.
Pelton's lurking around.
The committee will come to order. With unanimous consent, the bills will be read by title unless there's a request for a reading a bill at length. Committee reports are printed and in your bill folders. Floor amendments will be shown on the screen and on your iPads. Bills will be laid over upon motion of the majority leader, and the coat rule is relaxed. All right, Mr. Randall, please read the title of House Bill 1024.
House Bill 1024 by Representatives Benavides and Snyder, all Senator Moreno, concerning modifications to the state's net operating loss deduction.
Representative Snyder.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd move House Bill 1024, the Finance Committee report, and the Appropriations Committee report.
All right. Let's go to the there is no Appropriations Committee, is there? All right, let's go to Finance then. It's just not on my calendar here. All right, well, happy to look at your appropriations. To the Appropriations Committee report, Representative Snyder. Representative Benavides.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yeah, it went to appropriations, but there was no appropriation required because of the small amount on the fiscal note.
Okay.
So we urge an aye vote.
All right. Any further discussion? Seeing none. All in favor of the Appropriations Committee report, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Report passes. All right, to the Finance Committee report, Representative Snyder.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So we did take an amendment in the Finance Committee. It came from the business lobby here around the Capitol, and it just clarified some of the provisions in the bill, and we would ask for your support and a yes vote.
Any further discussion on the Finance Committee report? Seeing none. All those in favor of the Finance Committee report signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. Finance report passes. To the bill, Representative Benavides.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Members, this bill came out of the Interim Committee on Tax Expenditures. There was no opposition to the bill, so we'd urge a yes vote.
Any further discussion on House Bill 1024? Seeing none, the question before the body is the passage of House Bill 1024. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. House Bill 1024 passes. Mr. Randall, please read the title of House Bill 1060.
House Bill 1060 by Representatives Titone and Soper, also Senators Rodriguez and Marble, concerning the conversion of human remains to basic elements within a container using an accelerated process.
All right, and I believe we do have some permission from the Majority Leader for said display. Representative Soper, to the Appropriations Committee.
Is it okay?
Report. Representative Soper.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So we have an amendment for the...
Okay, we need to go to the Appropriations Committee report first.
So I move the appropriations.
All right, is there any further discussion on the Appropriations Committee report? Did I hear the correct motion for the Appropriations Committee report, Environment Committee report, and the bill? So I just need to hear the magic words. I move for the adoption of the Appropriations Committee report.
We move for the adoption of the Appropriations Committee report.
Thank you, Representative Titone. Seeing no further discussion, all those in favor of the Appropriations Committee report say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The Appropriations Committee report passes. All right, to the Energy and Environment Committee, Representative Titone.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. On the Energy and Environment Committee report, we had a couple amendments that were put on there and a couple that weren't. And we have an amendment for the Energy and Environment Committee report.
All right. So I believe I heard a motion for the adoption of the Energy and Environment Committee report.
Yes.
Any further
amendment L014?
Oh. All right. L014 has been moved to amend the Energy and Environment Committee report. It is properly displayed. Representative Titone, would you like to explain what the amendment does?
Sure. Well, in the Energy and Environment Committee report, we put a couple things in there that we are going to be replacing with additional amendments later on. So we're taking that stuff back out, and then we're going to put it back in with another amendment right after we're done here with this report.
All right. Any further discussion? Seeing none, the question before the body is the adoption of L014. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. L014 passes. Representative Titone.
To the bill?
We've amended the report.
Okay.
Is there any further discussion on the committee report?
For energy and environment.
All right. Seeing no further questions or discussion on the committee report as amended, the question before the body is the adoption of the committee report as amended. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Committee report as amended passes. All right. And now who would like to move the bill and then discuss it? Representative Titone. Representative Soper.
Well, I move House Bill 1060, and then...
To the bill.
Yes, we have an amendment.
Yeah. Representative Titone.
Let's talk about the bill a little bit and then we'll amend it. All right. Members, I hope you're in good spirits today. Representative Soper and I come bearing you House Bill 1060, and we think you're going to dig it. We know we're going to take you to heaven and hell and everywhere in between on this bill. Every step of the way, this bill has seen a groundswell of support from the public to the Energy and Environment Committee and the Appropriations Committee. Now, it may seem like we're joking around with this bill, but it's important to realize that we mean no disrespect. Speaking about the deceased today, we think humor is a way of making this weighty and heavy subject seem easier to cope with. So if we can get your attention today, we're hoping to earn your support on this bill. So, Representative Soper, are you ready to plot a corpse for the bill?
Did you say corpse?
Did I say corpse? I mean course, yeah.
Representative Soper.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Well, we've had very rigorous descriptions, and it stands up to any stiff competition. House Bill, yeah, I know. 1060 takes existing statutes and simplifies them to include the definition of final disposition, to include all forms of disposition, including burial, cremation, alkali dissolution, and a new type, natural organic reduction. No bloating terms here. Nothing is cryptic about this bill. We want to be sure that people have the choice and the freedom in their end of life decisions. There's no splitting hairs or heirs. Sorry, I couldn't help myself. People deserve to get their final wish when it comes to how they are in death. We want to ensure that Colorado's way of life and death offers options. And from what we've heard, people are dying to have this option. Oh, yeah, I know. And that's why from burial plots to think of themselves, this is the last thing that they should really have to think about. It's an innovative form of death care from glass coffins. I mean, who could think of what could come next?
Representative Down.
Yeah, this is definitely an innovation in death care. Will glass coffins be a success in the future? That remains to be seen. But this is a down-to-earth method we can all get down with.
Oh.
All right. So we're here to dissect the issue and offer any answers to any questions you may have. And for display purposes, we have a kilogram of soil and these conceptual drawings as well that we will show you.
Representative Soper.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So for members who weren't in committee, this is, it's good to just have a little bit of a visual. We asked permission. So this is actually part of a cow that had gone through natural organic reduction. And just the process, so members know, it's actually an age-old process since the beginning of time because it's very natural. It's wood chips, straw, water, the corpse. It turns at 130 degrees Fahrenheit for 30 days. And there's a description right behind me. And then after 30 days or 4 weeks, you get this soil right here. And you could use this to plant in a flower garden. It could be underneath the grass in the cemetery. It could be treated exactly like cremated remains as well. And for me, this bill is all about choice and option. I view it no different than cremation. And once again, I want to stress it's about option, freedom, a new business opportunity as well.
Representative Titone.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And you know, with any good soil bill, we offer amendments. So we have an amendment here, L015. I move L015 and ask for it to be displayed.
All right, L015 has been moved. And is now properly displayed. Who would like to, Representative Soper, tell us about L015?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So with Amendment L015, this is actually the technical amendment from the amendment that we just offered to the committee report, and this came back from the Department of Health, I think, that they wanted it worded this way rather than the way we originally had it, which is why we're offering this amendment.
All right, further discussion on Amendment L015. Seeing no further discussion, hopefully we'll save all future banter for the Colorado Channel on compost production. And all those in favor of L015 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no? L015 passes. Representative Soper.
Mr. Chair, I move Amendment L016 and ask that it be properly displayed.
And if the amendment sponsors want to hand their amendment packets to staff before they move them, they are more than welcome to do so. It speeds things up just a little bit. But with that being said, Amendment L016 is moved, properly displayed. Representative Soper.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Chair. So this amendment was actually one that was offered by Representative Landgraf in committee. We had some questions in committee that we needed to get through. We very quickly had turned energy and environment into judiciary. We worked through the technical wording difficulties with this to be able to ensure that the compost remains cannot be used or commingled in the course of a person's business, vocation, or occupation. This also ensures that there's proper penalties in case someone were to try to sell the remains of their loved ones, and to add the appropriate safeguards to this bill. Having come from the part of the state where I'm very sensitive to these issues because Sunset Mesa happened nearby, I just want to make sure we have the appropriate penalties and safeguards to ensure that this is not going to be abused and that there are the penalties in place, and that's what this amendment does.
Any further discussion on Amendment L016? Representative Titone.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. And, you know, we wanted to make sure, and this was an amendment that we had proposed in the committee, but it unfortunately died. We thought it was a dead giveaway, but we wanted to resurrect it here because we don't want people to make money off of these remains, whether it's cash or cryptocurrency.
All right, please be sure to tip your sergeant at arms. All right, any further discussion on Amendment L016? For Representative Holtorf on Amendment L016.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And in continuing with the line of puns, this is a dirty bill. It's a dirty amendment. We have heard many times of the gross criminal negligence that happens across the nation with respect to the handling of human remains without this particular bill. If you think that there's not going to be transgressions, if you think there's not going to be mistakes, if you think that the soil, because of this amendment here, is not going to have the potential for commingling, you're sadly mistaken. Many of us have beliefs founded on religious and cultural mores that say that the remains of a human should be held to high standards and be respected, and that they should not be turned into mere compost and fertilizer, despite many people's beliefs that, obviously the proponents of this bill, that something else should be done. It is not that we are missing or lacking a fertilizer for growing crops. We don't have a shortage of that. What we do is we have a small minority of people that want to move and change our beliefs and mores to allow for humans to be turned into fertilizer and compost. And it is sad and unfortunate that this is the direction that we run. And if we think this amendment is going to protect the sanctity of life even after death, I promise you that it will not. If you think the penalties here are sufficient to avoid what potentially could happen, and I believe probably will happen, either intentionally or unintentionally, I think that we better rethink what we're doing here today, because this direction that we travel, for many of us in this state that believe the sanctity of life not only begins at conception, but the sanctity and respect of life occurs long after death. This is sad. And I spoke earlier about veterans and how we need to respect veterans even after death. And in this country, we have gone to great measures to respect the death and the remains of veterans and try to make sure they're properly identified and try to make sure that they're properly accounted for and they're properly interned. But I will tell you, this goes against all those fundamental beliefs, because we might as well just turn them into compost, because that is what we are asking to do with this type of legislation. So not only do I strongly oppose this legislation, this amendment I feel is not sufficient. It will not be sufficient to protect the respect and dignity of those that have passed before us. And I also think this bill has major, major flaws and takes us in a direction, unfortunately, that I think is disrespectful to life after death. Mr. Chairman, I vote a no, or I'd like the body to consider no.
All right, further discussion on Amendment L016. Representative Soper.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yeah, I'd just like to respond to a couple of those comments. First of all, the bill specifically says that only one body at a time can go through this process. Second of all, this amendment is actually stronger than what we currently have in law for cremation. And then third, I would just like to push back a little bit and say that this bill is all about option. And I know that for myself, when it's time to die, I'm probably not going to choose this option. As a matter of fact, I'll probably choose burial, the traditional burial where you're actually in a concrete box. But there's other forms of burial that Colorado allows. There's also natural burial, or what some call green burial. That's where the body is placed in a pine box, buried 6 feet under the ground. And you know what happens after a given number of years of a body sitting in the ground? I don't know if any of you have ever dug up where you've buried an old pet, or perhaps buried the deer carcass after hunting season. Even the bones have disintegrated. There's nothing here that's unnatural. It speeds up the natural process is what happens here. And to say that cremation, either by a furnace or by alkaline, is for some means better than this process, that's making a moral judgment, and that's making a moral call. And we as lawmakers shouldn't be the ones telling citizens what that is. Instead, we should be offering appropriate safeguards, which this amendment does, and allowing options and choice within appropriate legal parameters, which is what we're doing here as well. And I would ask for a yes vote on the amendment.
Further discussion on the amendment to Amendment L016. Representative Holdorf.
With all due respect to my esteemed colleagues who are the sponsors of this amendment, I must make a few points. Number one, natural burial, which occurs 6 feet under the ground, is exactly what they state, natural burial. But it is not this. It is not the organic production or reproduction of human remains into soil and organic matter that can be used as fertilizer. Because if we study agronomy, we know that many root systems don't even go 6 inches underground, let alone 6 feet. Okay? So there's a difference there. Also, with respect to cremation, cremation is a choice. It is a way of handling remains that is common and accepted. But when you cremate remains, it's very different than what this bill promotes, which is a way to produce organic matter. Now, what the said purpose of this organic matter is, I do not know. I suppose it is to fertilize and to grow organic plants. But with respect to cremation, and I have family members that have been cremated, those remains typically are put in an urn and they are held in custody of the family, and then they're disposed of in many different ways. But it is very different. It's a very different practice at what this bill promotes and what this amendment is trying to safeguard. This amendment is trying to safeguard from the improper handling, the improper utilization, and try to make sure that these particular soil products that are kind of illustrated in some regard here with some organic matter that, thank God, is not human remains, as I look at them, is very different. So many of us are opposed to this notion that this legislation is a good idea, and we're also I'm opposed to the safeguards that this amendment would offer, because I believe they cannot be and they can easily be violated. And how are you going to prove that? How are you going to prove this when you got a mound of dirt? When you have now morticians that have this other thing that they have to do, and I would argue, have we thoroughly vetted that? And now we have this compost material that is human remains. And we have to handle this as well as every other procedure that we have. So I continue to talk against this. Respectfully, please consider a no vote on this amendment.
Further discussion on the amendment, Representative Landgraf.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Representative Holthorf, this was heard in the Energy and Environment Committee, and these amendments I brought because I had some concerns, because a couple years ago we had a bill and a situation which was close to Representative Soper's district, where people were cremating bodies and not giving the proper body back to the owner, the family member. So I had some concerns, all of which have been addressed. I did bring the amendments initially. They've improved these amendments, and I can assure you that these bodies will be taken care of beyond what we have established for cremated bodies, to ensure that the person that's being composted is one body, that it gets back to the family member, that it is distributed or disposed of appropriately. It cannot be used to grow food. They've taken care of all of these issues. So I completely support this amendment. I also support the bill, but I'll talk about that later. So I ask for a yes vote on this amendment.
Further discussion on the amendment, Representative Holtorf.
Out of respect to my colleagues in this esteemed floor, this will be the last time I speak to this amendment. I don't know what prevents somebody from just going out in the back and scooping up some dirt and putting it in a container and then sending it off with a family. I'm not sure this amendment has sufficient safeguards or sufficient penalties to ensure that that doesn't happen. Out of the sanctity and respect of those who have passed before us, I just don't know how that you get that guarantee. With cremated remains, it's very different. You have ashes that have no other use and very little other disposition or use. But with organic material, that is a different story. So I'm not sure, and I don't know if this amendment completely guarantees, irrespective of the amendments, irrespective of the genesis of the bill, it is my belief that we are going in a different direction, despite what somebody might want in the organic soil community and what they might want with their remains. I think this is a very dangerous direction that we travel. And I will tell you that as we continue to diminish the value of life, as we continue to diminish and redefine what life is after death and how we handle life after death, I am troubled. I am troubled because year after year, we continue to redefine what that is. And we don't define it in the direction that many of us think we should define it, as revered, as sacred, as something that is very, very special. So with that, I continue to hold my position, and I thank you for your attention and time, Mr. Chairman.
Further discussion on the amendment, Representative Sane.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I do think this amendment does provide extra protection in the bill. I'm still up in the air about the bill itself, and people are literally rolling before they get in their grave. So, but I do support the amendment.
All right, open mic night. This is good. All right, further discussion on the amendment. All right, seeing no further discussion on the amendment L016. Question before the body is the passage of L016. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. Amendment L016 passes. Back to the bill, Representative Tatone.
I urge support for this bill. We have a lot of citizens. Ask your citizens in your districts what they think about this bill. You will find many of them that do, because it's about choices, and people should have choices. And this is one that people can feel good about when they die. And I urge a yes vote on the bill.
Representative Landgraf.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Members, this bill may seem like a dirty deal, but I'm here to say it's not. It's just another clever way of avoiding all the rot. Don't stick Grandpa in an oven or plant him in the ground. Now you'll have a clever way of keeping him around. Spread him around the roses or plant a beautiful tree, and over time, throughout the years, his beauty you will see. It is the way of the future, new job opportunities galore. I won't take up more of your time for this bill I'm voting for. I just wanted to lighten things up, so thank you very much.
All right, well, if we hear any mortuary jingles, we will be hearing Representative Landgraf's voice. Later on, Representative Humphrey.
I guess we're maxed out. Thank you, Mr. Chair. I do rise in opposition to the bill, and I'll be a no vote on the bill. I think of our country and our commitment and our foundations in the Judeo-Christian tradition, and of our Creator, and the fact that we are created in His image. And I think that this is a step in the wrong direction, treating human beings in this way, to render them into compost, and, as I had said in a previous amendment, and treat their remains like dirt. And I have moral objections to that. That's nothing new in this body. We'll be having a discussion on the death penalty soon, and that is largely based on the moral objections of both sides. So I am a no vote, and I realize I'm in the minority on this one, but that's my position.
For the discussion on the bill, Mr. Minority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And members, I'm always surprised at the depth and the width of all the issues that we actually deal with down here. I mean, who would have actually thought we'd be debating this down on the floor? But I do want to point out that this bill is one of many examples of how complex it is to be a farmer. And it does take a little more than just throwing some seeds out and kicking some dirt around to actually grow things.
Okay. All right. Further discussion on House Bill 1060. All right. Seeing no further discussion on House Bill 1060 as amended, the question before the body is the passage of House Bill 1060. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, no? No. House Bill 1060 passes on. All right. Mr. Randall, please read the title of House Bill 1136.
House Bill 1136 by Representative Snyder concerning the regulation of investments made by domestic insurance companies.
Representative Snyder.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move House Bill 1136 and the Business and Labor Committee report.
To the committee report on business affairs and labor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I will move L004, an amendment to the committee report, and ask it to be properly displayed.
Bring on the whole packet up.
Sorry.
Thank you. L004 and the packet are moved and now properly displayed. To the amendment, L004, Representative Snyder.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So there's only 2 words added here under this amendment. It's adding commingled funds to the category that deals with how insurance companies can invest in mutual funds. So I ask for a yes vote.
All right, all those in, seeing no further discussion, all those in favor of amendment L004 say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. L004 passes. To the committee report, Representative Snyder.
Yeah, so we did take some amendments in the committee report, and I think made it a much better bill. And I would ask for an aye vote on the Business and Labor Committee report.
Seeing no further discussion on the committee report, all those in favor of the committee report from Business Affairs and Labor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The committee report passes. To the bill, Representative Snyder.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and I move L003, an amendment, and ask that it be properly displayed.
L003 has been moved, and members never hesitate to share your amendment packets with our staff before.
I remember hearing that.
And repetition is how we remember. It's okay, Representative Snyder. L003 has been moved, is properly displayed. To the amendment, Representative Snyder.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So this amendment was just really a grammatical cleanup, changing the line 1 from saying on to insert or after. So with that, I would ask for a yes vote on amendment L003.
Any further discussion on L003? Seeing none, all those in favor of L003, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. L003 passes. Representative Snyder, back to the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So this bill really addresses an area of insurance, specifically life insurance companies and what we allow them to invest in. We haven't revisited this area in some 21 years. So really, we're just adopting the National Model Act that several states have already done. We're not adopting the Model Act in total, but we're bringing some very strong provisions, putting it into it. The gist of it is it opens up more investment opportunities to insurance companies while at the same time making sure they remain actuarially sound and maintain the ability to pay off claims as they become due. So I would ask for a yes vote on the bill, please.
All right, any further discussion on House Bill 1136? Representative Sandridge.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I want to thank Representative Snyder for bringing this bill forward. I understand the bill. I think I'm guessing this bill is associated with the 2008 crash. I think that's probably what the link is associated with it. I just get a little bit uneasy when we go into any company and tell them how to invest their money. I don't think we are really, as a body, smart enough to go into an insurance company and tell them which investments to invest in. Also, I think there probably could be some other investments involved. I'm curious about the different shares of the mutual funds, A, B, and C shares. I'm curious about exchange traded funds. I'm just curious about the type of investments. But deep down, I don't think we should be telling companies exactly how to invest their money. Thank you.
Representative Snyder.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, Representative Sandridge. I think we have to recognize the unique nature of these insurance companies and the actuarial responsibility they have to their customers and their claimants. So in a sense, this is not directing how they can invest their assets. It really constrains, and it is a little more expansive than we have been currently, but it has really, really stiff requirements here and low percentages about private equity and mutual funds and other investment opportunities. So I think it is the proper level of recognizing the modern economy and the opportunities that are there and allowing insurance companies to invest in those. But again, without them putting their assets at risk and losing the ability to pay off claims as they may become due.
Representative Liston.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Representative Snyder, I'm curious, so would this legislation be applicable to an insurance company that is domiciled here in Colorado, or if they were headquartered in another state, are we mandating how they invest even though they're headquartered in another state?
Representative Snyder.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you for the question. Primarily, we're dealing with domiciled insurance companies here in Colorado. But if they have sufficient activity in Colorado, a nexus where they have to pay Colorado taxes, then they would be subject for their investment portfolio. That percentage that is Colorado business, they would have to be mindful of these insurance regulations.
Representative Liston.
Thank you. So like a very large insurance company, I'm just going to pick one like Prudential or Metropolitan Life to use those two as an example. I'm fairly certain they're not domiciled here in Colorado, probably New York or New Jersey, wherever, or Delaware. So they would, under the guidelines that we're setting down, they would have to abide by our guidelines or just on that percentage of business that is underwritten here in Colorado.
Representative Snyder.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you for the question. It would require them to proportionally recognize their business in Colorado, but as you may know, we have a fatal flaw in our corporate nexus statute. You may recall House Bill 233 from last year, which resulted in us basically having to refund approximately $215 million with a 4-year look back. So I think under that proposal, until we change that, and we did change it moving forward, but there is still, I think, a legitimate case to be made for a large insurer, a national insurer, to be able to say that they don't have a sufficient nexus to have to pay corporate taxes in Colorado, and that would mean they would not be subject to these rules. So I can only assure you that it applies to companies domiciled here in Colorado. It is an undetermined question whether that nexus will be accomplished with national companies that do business in Colorado.
Representative Liston.
Thank you. Thank you for your explanation. I appreciate that. And then one last question. So is this dealing primarily with life insurance companies, or also could it deal with property and casualty insurance companies?
Representative Snyder.
Life insurance.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much.
All right. Further comments, questions on House Bill 1136? Seeing none, the question before the body is passage of House Bill 1136. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. House Bill 1136 passes. Mr. Randall, please read the title of House Bill 1066.
House Bill 1066 by Representative Sirota, also Senator Gonzalez, concerning the establishment of contribution limits under the Fair Campaign Practices Act for candidates for school district director.
Representative Sirota.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move House Bill 1066, the State Veterans and Military Affairs Committee report, and the Appropriations report.
To the Appropriations report, Representative Sirota.
Just a very minor appropriation so that the Secretary of State can implement this little tweak.
Any questions on the Appropriation Committee report? Seeing no comments on the Appropriations Committee report, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those no? No. Opposed? All right, I'm going to give it to the bill sponsor on that one. The Appropriations Committee report passes. All right, to the committee report on State Military and Veterans Affairs, Representative Sirota.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This was just a small amendment to take out some extraneous language that the drafter said accidentally ended up in the bill, and I ask for a yes vote.
Any further discussion on the State Veterans and Military Affairs Committee? Seeing none, all those in favor of the committee report signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, no. The committee report passes. To the bill, Representative Sirota.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This is a really simple bill. School board campaigns are one of the last places where we have no limits on contributions to candidates, and so this bill simply mirrors what we did last year with contribution limits to county candidates and places very reasonable limits on those running for school board.
Further discussion? Representative Williams.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And I want to thank the bill sponsor for bringing this, because I think at the heart of it, this is a pretty noble cause. There does seem to be a reaction when you think of potentially people buying an election and perhaps putting a lot of their own money into it. But I do feel that what this bill would do is have the exact opposite effect of what I think the bill sponsor's intent is. When we talk about campaign contribution limits, sure, this placed limits on the individual candidate to receive certain contributions and what amount. However, what it does is it shifts the money to potentially dark sources, to organizations that don't have to necessarily disclose their donors, don't necessarily have to disclose what their activities are. One way or another, when we're talking about the nature of politics and the acquisition of power, there's always going to be an effort by, both sides to try and win. And they will find ways to get money into the field. And if we place contribution limits on these individuals, then okay, those individuals might not be able to have that money, but that doesn't mean that other organizations won't get it and then try to tip the scales in their favor. And that's ultimately my problem with this, is that it has the opposite effect of transparency. We're going to have more dark money getting into the field, and we're not going to know who's actually influencing our elections. I think the appropriate thing to do is to leave everything in place right now, let candidates have whatever amount of money they can fundraise, and then let that be disclosed to the public. And when we have that sunshine, when we have that level of transparency, the public is going to be better served for it. So I would ask for a no vote respectfully.
Representative Serrata.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, Representative Williams. I appreciate your concern about dark money. I too share that concern. However, in a post-Citizens United world, we can't control that dark money, and we have seen it already in play in these school board races. So where that might have been a concern in years past, I think that it's already there, and this isn't affecting that. What we are doing is complying with current case law from the Supreme Court that says that the use of contribution limits is appropriate to avoid the appearance of quid pro quo. And that is what we are seeing when we see people giving contributions in the tens of thousands, which is what is happening in school board elections right now. And so this bill is a very modest limit on that. It limits contributions to $2,500 for individuals, which is still quite a contribution, but really does trim away some of the most egregious and concerning amounts, which I heard personally from my constituents about, and this is what they're asking me to do to address this problem in our school board races.
Mr. Minority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And members, I also urge a no vote on this because, as we've seen even in our own races, the money doesn't just disappear. It's all just funneled into the dark money that we talk about. This C4s, the 527s. An individual that wants to give tens of thousands of dollars still can, and I agree that they have the right to do that, but they just do it to a different organization, and then the candidate campaign has no accountability over that. So instead of a candidate actually running on their own platform with their own disclosure saying it came from them, it comes from a different group, and they sit there and they say, I had nothing to do with it. So we've actually have less transparency, like Representative Williams was saying. And then I also want to point out, too, this doesn't prevent an individual from coming in and self-funding. They can still do that to their heart's desire. So a rich individual can come in and spend hundreds of thousands of dollars of their own money, and they're still allowed to do that. That wouldn't limit them. So we're just adding something that's going to make the problem we're trying to get at worse, and I would urge a no vote.
Further discussion on House Bill 1066. Seeing no further discussion, question before the body is passage of House Bill 1066. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no? No. House Bill 1066 passes. Mr. Randall, please read the title of House Bill 1165.
House Bill 1165 by Representatives Kraft, Tharp, and McKean. All senators Enzinger and quorum concerning the modifications to the interior design exemption set forth in the governing laws governing the practice of architecture.
All right, we're off to see the speaker. All right. Okay. Well, look, pay no attention to the woman behind the door. All right, Representative Kraft Tharp.
I move House Bill 1165 and
Committee report on Business Affairs and Labor,
the
maybe?
Business Affairs and Labor Committee report.
To the committee report. Representative.
I'll do the last part.
Kraft Tharp.
So I really want to commend the architects, the engineers, and the interior designers who came together and found that sweet spot, found that middle ground. And it was not easy. It was numerous meetings. It was hard work. But they dug in and they were really able to come up with language that they all could support. So that's the amendment in the Business Affairs and Labor Committee report. It's the language that really brings all of the professions together. So I ask for your support.
All right. Any further discussion on the committee report? Representative McKean.
You know, I'll add my little bit of discussion here. I also want to compliment the architects. We had city code and county code officials and the engineers. But actually, since you're standing here, I'm going to compliment you. So here's the thing. We had people who were really, really concerned about each other's perspectives. And we had some remarkably good stakeholder meetings where you really got people to come to the center and say, let's do what's best, and I appreciate the heck out of that.
Why,
Thank you very much.
Representative McKean.
Motion to hug it out is always in order. All right. So any further discussion on the Business Affairs and Labor Committee report? Seeing no further discussion, all those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, no. Business Affairs and Labor Committee report passes. To the bill, Representative Kraftharp.
Thank you. So House Bill 1165 removes confusing and contradictory language concerning life safety that existed in the statute. And so this really helps to be able to clarify the work that the interior designers do in working with the building code folks and the architects. So we ask for your support.
President McKean.
Thank you very much, and we do ask for your support. This bill also sets out a very, very stringent education requirement, which is really important because when we're talking about this kind of stuff, we want to make sure that we have people who are trained the best, including sometimes county commissioners.
Sometimes. All right. Seeing no further discussion on House Bill 1165, all those in favor say aye. All opposed, no. House Bill 1165 passes.
Thanks.
All right. Mr. Randall, please read the title of House Bill 1275.
House Bill 1275 by Representative Buentello, also Senator Heisey, concerning providing in-state tuition status as a community college for military families, regardless of whether Colorado domicile status is satisfied.
Representative Buentello.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move the
House Bill 1275 and the Education Committee report?
Yes.
Sounds great to me. Representative Buentello to the committee report on education.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The committee report on education, we had one, yes, simple amendment that just clarified what a dependent is. I'm sure my colleagues on the other side of the aisle could agree that it is important to clarify what a dependent is in the U.S. military. And with that, I move the committee report.
All right. Any further discussion on the Education Committee report? Seeing none, the question is the passage of the committee report. All those in favor say aye. All opposed, no. The Education Committee report passes with one person saying something. To the bill, House Bill 1275.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. House Bill 1275, I am just so proud of. This is another veterans bill. This bill simply allows our veterans and their families hang on. Mr. Chair, may I move out of the way of their picture for a moment?
I think it's perfectly appropriate to photobomb on this one, but it's up to you. All right, let's continue. Representative Buentello.
My apologies, Mr. Chair. I just lost my train of thought. So at either rate, one of the hardest things about military service and, being from a military family myself, I personally experienced this several times during my life. You have your permanent duty station change every 3 to 4 years. And it's very difficult, at least I know it was for me as a wife, to complete your education and to start a career and frankly to have a career when your spouse is in the military, just because you are moving like clockwork, like I said, somewhere between those 3 to 4 years. One of those many challenges is the fact that once you PCS, you have to wait 1 full calendar year before you can access in-state tuition. I don't think I need to tell anyone in this body how out of control tuition costs are. So what this bill will do is waive the 1-year requirement for military veterans and their families to access in-state tuition, which will save our military families thousands of dollars. Very, very proud to carry this bill. Let's support our troops and thank their families. Ladies and gentlemen, please vote yes.
Mr. Minority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And just a quick question to the sponsor. Would this bill allow for a dishonorable discharge veteran to seek in-state tuition. I'm actually okay with the dishonorable discharged veterans' dependents because that wasn't upon their own, but I do have concerns if we're giving that benefit to dishonorably discharged veterans.
Representative Butea.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Minority Leader, no, this will not actually apply to dishonorably discharged vets or their families.
Representative Sandridge.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And yeah, love this bill. Love what you're doing with it. Just only question I have is, I'm sure within your discussions, why did you limit it just to community colleges, just not all colleges?
Representative Butea.
There were implications on four-year universities and frankly their budget, their long-term budget and sustainability. I'm continuing to have conversations with the universities just because, yeah, I believe this is a wonderful bill and I really do hope to expand it someday.
Further questions or discussion on House Bill 1275? Representative Holtorf.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Question to the bill sponsor. I want to make sure that the bill speaks to permanent change of station and doesn't allow for people that are on extended temporary duty or TDY status that try to what I would call game the system. There's a lot of gaming of the system that goes on in both with federal statutes and state statutes. So I want to make sure that this bill only addresses those individuals that are dependents of permanent change of station military service members and not those that are on extended TDY, temporary tour of active duty, TTAD, or TDY status. I think that's very important that we, particularly as the military has a very transient community with many, many different duty statuses, that this addresses those that really are residing and living in Colorado as permanent change of station members.
Representative Butea.
Thank you so much, Representative Holtorf and Mr. Chair. No, this does not extend to anybody on a TDY because, yes, I too, unfortunately, have seen those bad actors in the past. This specifically applies to if you have had that permanent change of station and you will be there for a calendar period of more than 1 year.
Further discussion on House Bill 1275. Seeing no further discussion, the question before the body is the passage of House Bill 1275. All those in favor say aye. All opposed, no. House Bill 1275 passes. Mr. Rando, please read the title of Senate Bill 43.
Senate Bill 43 by Senator Tate, also Representative Valdez D, concerning correction that a rate of reimbursement for non-network health care provider is entitled to receive from a health insurance carrier for service provided to a covered person or at an in-network facility when the health care provider submits a claim to the carrier within the specified time conform with the existing law.
Representative Valdez D.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move Senate Bill 43 in the Health and Human Services Committee report.
All right. Was there a committee report? Was anything adopted in Senate Bill 43? I believe there wasn't.
No committee report.
So I don't think there's a committee report. So we can just go straight to the bill. Representative Valdez.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This bill requires a health insurance carrier to reimburse an out-of-state network health care provider to provide emergency services for covered non-emergency services to a covered person at an in-network facility. And with that, I ask for your support.
Any other further discussion on Senate Bill 43? Seeing none, the question before the body is the passage of Senate Bill 43. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Senate Bill 43 passes. Mr. Randall, please read the title of Senate Bill 113.
Senate Bill 113 by Senator Tate, also Representative Valdez D, concerning the mandatory contents of each license issued to a health facility by the Department of Public Health and Environment.
Representative Valdez D.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move Senate Bill 113 in the Health and Human Services Committee report, and there was no report.
And I also don't believe there were any amendments in the committee report, so we can go straight to the bill again on Senate Bill 113. Efficient work here. So to the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This bill removes the requirement for health facility license issued in this Department of Public Health, and with that, I ask for your support.
Any other further discussion on Senate Bill 113? Representative, Mr. Assistant Minority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm just curious, will this change the speed or efficiency of the health facility licensing process? I hope it does.
Representative Valdez D.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Absolutely, this will continue to increase efficiency.
All right, further discussion. Seeing no further discussion, the question before the body is House Bill, a passage of Senate Bill 113. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. Senate Bill 113 passes. Mr. Randall, please read the title of House Bill 1145. All right, and Mr. Assistant Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We are, it looks like the bill sponsor of this one is not in the room just yet. If Representative Holtorf is ready, I don't see him at the moment, but we could proceed out of order.
Oh, your bill is up.
Representative Holtorf, are you ready to go?
This is your moment to shine.
1178? Okay, very good. Mr. Chair, I move to lay over House Bill 1145, one bill.
All right, seeing no objection, the House Bill 1145 will be laid over one bill. And with that, Mr. Randall, please read the title of House Bill 1178.
House Bill 1178 by Representative Holtorf, also Senator Sonnenberg, concerning increasing the speed limit on rural state highways where it is safe to do so, and in connection therewith directing the Department of Transportation to identify these highways.
Representative Holtorf.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As the sponsor of this bill, I will speak to the bill before I request to move it. Is that proper?
The script is I move House Bill 1178 and the Transportation and Local Government Committee report, and then we'll talk about the committee report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I move House Bill 20-1178 out of the Transportation Committee.
And the committee report.
And the committee report.
All right, to the Transportation and Local Government Committee report, Representative Holtorf.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This particular legislation allows for a study to be done by CDOT in, okay, thank you. So what we did in committee as we presented the bill was to have CDOT explain that they would be willing to do this study. They had no opposition to this study, focusing on rural eastern, northeastern, and southeastern Colorado to allow for speed limit increases where public safety was the primary consideration, and where the study would include accident analysis, road surface analysis, also other considerations with respect to the different regions of the state. And this particular committee, I believe it was passed unanimously out of the Transportation Committee, so I urge an aye vote on this bill.
Any further discussion on the Transportation Committee report? Seeing no further discussion on the Transportation Committee report, the question before the body is the passage of the Transportation and Local Government Committee report. All those in favor signify by saying aye. All those opposed say no. All right, motion passes, and we are on to the bill. Representative Holtorf.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I apologize for speaking out of order with respect to the amendment and the bill. At this time, I will try to make a correction. The particular study will begin and can be reoccurring every 5 years. It allows for the consideration of 70 miles per hour as the highest speed allowed in rural Colorado, where connecting the rural cities and towns that are in my district and also in other districts in rural Colorado. The primary consideration is endangering, make sure that public safety is the predominant consideration. Highway surfaces, the straight roads, and adequate shoulder space is also further considerations. And CDOT is perfectly capable and willing to conduct this study and consider the change. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I vote
Any further discussion on House Bill 1178? Representative Wilson.
Thank you, Mr. So-Chair. Representative Holtorf, one of my concerns as you were presenting this, and it's still my concern, those of us that had experience with CDOT when they do a traffic study, it doesn't have to go higher. So if they do the study and the 80% point of that traffic, which on rural roads, a lot of folks in rural areas drive slower unless they're headed to the bigger city. What if it comes out to recommend that they lower it to 60 or 55? Is there anything in this bill that says if you find out it's lower, you can't put it at that? I mean, because it's been my experience at CDOT, whatever they find is what it's going to be.
Representative Holtorf.
Mr. Chairman, and thank you, Representative Wilson for bringing that comment in. The bill specifically in the bill title addresses increasing the speeds. It does not talk to reducing speeds, so it's not a part of this bill.
Representative Wilson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Representative Holtorf, I'm not giving you trouble in this. I'm just saying, I think, unless it's changed, when CDOT does a study, if they say 80% is 60 miles an hour, they will put 60 miles an hour on that 65 road. I'm just concerned that in trying to do what you're trying to do, it may come back to bite you. I'm just not sure, but you need to be careful of that. That's my point.
Representative Holtorf.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, Representative Wilson, for the concern. This particular bill specifically addresses a study to only consider increases. It doesn't look at any other considerations. So the legislation is very targeted. I understand the criteria that the CDOT can use and may use to analyze speeds. I would also point out in the study that the operative word is increase. It is not to decrease. So that will be the target of the study with respect to this legislation. And also, when the study is done, then the legislature can look at the study, and then they can determine, we in this esteemed body can determine the direction we want to move with particular legislation. So remember, it's merely a study. Don't get the cart ahead of the horse, as they say in the country. Don't try to run the wagon down the trail too far. We're just doing a study. So let's just see what the study results determine. Because then this esteemed body can define whatever direction they would like to choose with respect to the study results. Thank you.
All right, further discussion, Representative Soper.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I certainly rise in support of the bill, or at least I should say the bill concept. Having driven lots of rural roads all over western Colorado, I can tell you that our speed limits are actually way too low. And in many places, whether it's 55 or 65, and you have no crossroads crossing that highway, it just takes forever to get from point A to point B. And then you look around, if there's no state patrol around you, the average speed of the highway is, I would say, going around 80 miles an hour without making any confessions personally. And that illustrates that, like what my good colleague from Salida was talking about, that when CDOT does do a study and they're looking for that 80% mark, if you're going to have state officials out there tracking this, maybe it moves up from, say, 65 to 70, but the bill says 70 is the ceiling. And I certainly would like to see in this bill that they could do the study to see raising it at least to 75, which is the highest speed in the state of Colorado. That's something that I would like to see, because certainly Highway 50 from Delta to Grand Junction, we only have one road that intersects that stretch of highway, and that easily could be 75 miles an hour rather than 65. The state did a good job in building that highway. It actually is now interstate quality with the repairs that CDOT has made, so I certainly would like to thank CDOT for that. But if the speed study is done there and CDOT were to choose the maximum in this bill, which is 70, and yet a safe travel would be 75, CDOT still wouldn't be able to do that because the limit is 70. So I certainly would like to ask the sponsors to maybe consider an amendment to raise it up to what our highest speed is.
Representative Holtorf.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. At the request of my esteemed colleague, Representative Soper, and with your permission and consideration in the rules, am I allowed to make an amendment at this point, or do I need to, I am allowed to make an amendment?
Well, there's a couple. This is what I'm going to recommend. If we want to amend the bill, what we can do is we can lay the bill over for later in the calendar, and we can work on some amendments. Mr. Assistant Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move to lay over House Bill 1178, one bill.
All right, House Bill 1178 will be laid over one bill. All right, Mr. Randall, please read the title to House Bill 1145.
House Bill 1145 by Representative McKean, House Senators Holborn and Garcia, concerning the safety consequences of a driver passing an official vehicle that displays a warning light.
Very nicely done.
All right, Representative McKean, we don't pay our readers enough for that, but but well done, Mr. Randall. Representative McKean to House Bill 1145.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair, and I move House Bill 1145 and the Transportation Local Government report.
To the committee report.
Committee report was we actually went in and just made a few changes to make sure that not only is the education component of this exactly what we want it to be, but we also just wanted to make sure that this bill and its enacting and its enforcement would not cause actions by drivers that would be the opposite of what we want. And so we made that amendment. It made everybody happy, and I would urge an aye vote.
Further discussion on the committee report. Seeing no further discussion, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. Transportation and Local Government Committee report passes. To the bill, Representative McKean.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So what we're looking at here, folks, is a change to the move over for Cody law. You know, this actually follows perfectly the bill we just talked about, which is what do we do about our speed limits on our roads? How do we get people safely from one place to the other? This bill is how do we protect those who are doing their jobs on the side of the road? And I told our committee this, and I urge you to talk to our state troopers. I urge you to talk to your local law enforcement officers. The absolute scariest moment of their day is the minute their foot hits pavement as they pull somebody over. Because they can control so many things up to that point. They can control who it is that they pull over and what the traffic is moving and what they decide is a speed that they need to say, you know what, we need to pull you over and either tell you to slow down or give you a ticket. They can control kind of where on the road they turn their lights on and say, let's pull over. Control so many things until they open that door. Because who can they not control? The people who are driving toward them at 80 miles an hour. And the problem is that when we passed the Move Over for Cody law, we said, move over if you cannot slow to a safe speed. And slowing to a safe speed is kind of an amorphous description of, hey, we'd like you to slow down. What we need to do is make that a definite thing, and that is 20 miles an hour below the speed limit. It means that you need to be trying to slow down. And I also said this to the committee, and I would offer this to you all. And that is that what we're really trying to do is to get to the second level of awareness, which is not just that I need to slow down, but that when I see someone working on the side of the road, whether it be a tow truck or an ambulance, or if it is one of our state troopers or one of our police officers, that what you really are trying to do is help them do their job. Slow down, give them room, help them do their job. I urge an aye vote.
Representative Melton.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And members, I rise in support of this bill. First, I was concerned that by having these restrictions, would it be enforceable? But really, without having this quantified, then we have a law that really doesn't do anything. It's too ambiguous for people to really be able to follow and try to protect the lives of our law enforcement who are really doing a dangerous job out there. So I really appreciate this bill moving forward. I think more so than its enforceability is the education piece around this bill and making sure that people understand that when we mean slow down, this is what we mean by slow down, and this is why we need you to slow down. So for that reason, I again ask for an aye vote. I appreciate the representative for bringing the bill, and let's protect the lives of our law enforcement that are out there protecting our streets.
Representative Liston.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm curious, will this be in statute, or it seems like to me the appropriate place for this, Representative McKean, will be in the driver's test, like the manual, because that's where it's the education piece, as Representative Melton was talking about, is, so that they know before they're fined or whatever. So if you would speak to that, I would appreciate it.
Representative McKean.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Actually, Representative Liston, very good question. And in fact, Representative Sane had a very similar question to that, which is, how do we go about this education component? We have worked with all of our partners. It will not only be in the driver's test, it will also be on the lighted signboards. E470 has come on board to say that they will do it. We actually have physical signs on the side of the road that will also do this. The education component of this is probably the most important piece because, as you said, drivers need to know, because right now they can get pulled over, but and so the law, the actual enforcement of a law doesn't change. That doesn't change. But what it does do is say that there is a quantifiable limit to that, and that is the other education component, are our officers pulling over and saying, this is a new change, you've got to slow down, and a period of time where that happens. But let me just tell you guys, this is what shocks me, is that when we start talking about things like this, like the need for this bill, when we go back through some of the incidents we've had on roadside, since 2007, CSP has had 8 troopers struck outside their vehicles. 6 of those have been killed. And then if we look going through the years and we start to look at what the numbers actually are, and I won't go far back, I will tell you in 16, 6 vehicles struck, 17, 5, 18, 4, so a good trend going down. Then in 19, 14 vehicles were struck. And in 2020, we are only in the 2nd month of the year. We have already had 6 patrol vehicles struck on our roads. So absolute need to do this. The education component is the biggest piece. Thank you.
Further discussion on House Bill 1145. Seeing no further discussion, the question before the body is passage of House Bill 1145. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, no. House Bill 1145 passes. And that brings us back to House Bill, Mr. Assistant.
Give me 1 second.
Mr. Assistant Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move to lay over House Bill 1178 and House Bill 1266 until Tuesday, February 25th.
Seeing no objection, House Bills 1178 and 1266 will be laid over until Tuesday. Mr. Randall, please read the title of House Bill 1022.
House Bill 1022 by Representatives Kraft, Tharp, and Van Winkle, also Senators Williams and Tate, concerning the Sales and Use Tax Simplification Task Force in connection with extending the task force, modifying the task force duties, and removing the requirement that the task force undergo an evaluation by the Department of Regulatory Agencies prior to the task force repeal.
Representative Kraft Tharp.
I move House Bill 1022 and the Appropriations Report.
To the Appropriations Committee report. Representative Kraft Tharp.
Thank you. So the Appropriations Committee made an appropriations.
All right, seeing no further discussion on the Appropriations Committee report, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The Appropriations Committee report passes. And to the Business Committee, Business and Labor report, Representative Kraft Tharp.
Business Committee and Labor Report?
There.
Oh, yeah.
So one of the things that this bill does is it gives a list of items for the continuation of the Sales Tax Committee to be able to look at in the future. So we agreed to add on that list the streamlining of the sales tax exemptions for medical devices. So that's what we added on in the Business Committee.
All right, further discussion on the Business Committee report. And we just want to be sure we heard a motion to adopt the Business Committee report, correct?
And we move that you adopt, we move that you move the Business Affairs and Labor Committee report.
Why are 4-day weeks harder than 5-day weeks? This is what I want to know. Seeing no further discussion on the Business and Labor report, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Business Labor report passes. To the bill, Representative Kraft Tharp. Representative Van Winkle.
So Representative Van Winkle and I have been working on the sales and use tax simplification work for a number of years. So 3 years ago, we brought to this body a proposal to let's bring people to the table. Let's bring the business community, let's bring the municipalities to the table so that this issue that we've been talking about for the last 30 years could finally reach some success. So you've heard this before, and we'll say it again. Colorado has the most complicated sales and use tax system in the country. But it's not an easy solution. It's not an easy avenue. It's not easy to find that pathway. In the Sales Tax Committee in the last 3 years, we've been able to make some progress, which is like a total miracle. The state is in the process of developing a one-stop electronic portal and a GIS system. That will help in this endeavor, but this is a complicated issue with a lot of things we need to look at. If we're not at the table, nothing will be done. So this is creating that space for the business community and for the local municipalities to be able to look at some of the additional issues. So this bill is asking for a 5-year extension of the task force.
Mr. Assistant Minority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I have very little to add. My sincere thanks and gratitude to the chair of the committee, working very hard. This is an issue, like she said, that's been going on for 30 years in Colorado. Got dramatically harder just before the Polis administration took office, right before Thanksgiving of that year. And we're trying to solve the problem, and we're making great progress, bringing local government leaders, business leaders, and state leaders such as ourselves to the table to find a way forward. My sincere thanks to the many business leaders who gave of their time and talents, and the local government leaders who came to the table and met all summer long and are willing to stay at the table and work hard and solve this problem to make life a little bit easier for our Colorado businesses.
All right, any further discussion on House Bill 1022? Seeing no further discussion on House Bill 1022, the question before the body is the passage of House Bill 1022. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no? House Bill 1022 passes. Mr. Randall, please read the title to House Bill 1032.
House Bill 1032 by Representatives Kipp and Wilson. Now, Senators Janal and Quorum, considering the timing of education standards review.
Representative Kipp.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move the Education Committee report and the bill.
All right, House Bill 1032, and to the Committee on Education report. Representative Wilson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The Education Committee report did a great number of things, changing the word 1/3 to approximately, which that allows the department the flexibility of if it wasn't exactly 1/3, that they would still be able to proceed. I recommend an aye on the committee report.
Further discussion on the committee report? Seeing no further discussion on the committee report, the question before the body is the passage of the Education Committee report. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Committee report passes. To the bill, Representative Wilson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Colleagues, I really need your attention here because I know that there's a lot of concern over this bill. This bill is House Bill 20-1032, not 19-1032. This is not a comprehensive sex ed bill. So we're not going to present a third and a third and a third on comprehensive sex ed. The understandable title of this particular bill is let's stagger the review and revision of state standards rather than doing them all at once every 6 years. The way the current statute reads is that every 6 years the state standards will be reviewed, and that kind of puts everything all in one pot and one pile at one time. This will allow it to be differentiated approximately 1/3 every 2 years, so it just becomes a regularly recurring situation. The really great news for me in this bill is there's no fiscal note and it does not require an increase in FTE. I recommend an aye vote.
Representative Kitt.
Thank you so much. And Thank you, Representative Wilson. I was wondering why that number sounded so familiar, and I couldn't quite connect. As most of you know, or many of you may know, before I joined the legislature, I served on a local school board for 7 years and was very involved with the Colorado Association of School Boards. And every year, the Colorado Association of School Boards has delegate assemblies at which all members, members from all of the school boards throughout the state come and gather to talk about what's important to them. And this was passed out of that delegate assembly about 3 times, because what we're trying to do here is lower the workload, especially for our smaller districts. Our smaller districts having to do all of this work every 6 years, all at the same time, is a lot of work. So we're just saying, hey, spread the work out. And you know what's really cool? We also spread the fiscal note out, so it's a bunch of small hits and not one big hit. So I urge an aye vote.
Is there any further discussion on House Bill 1032 from the year 2020? Seeing no further discussion on this House Bill 1032, the question before the body is the passage of House Bill 1032. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. House Bill 1032 passes. Mr. Randall, please read the title of House Bill 1049 with Representatives Byrd and McKean.
House Bill 1049 by Representatives Byrd and McKean, also Senators Quorum and Bridges, concerning the reauthorization of the voluntary contribution of state individual income tax returns for the Habitat for Humanity of a Colorado Fund.
Representative Byrd.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move House Bill 1049.
And the Finance Committee report, maybe?
Yes, and the Finance Committee report.
Sounds great. To the Finance Committee report, Representative McKean.
Ha! See, we got you. So, Finance Committee report really was that we had an amendment in Finance Committee that literally just said that what we're going to do is have the normal process apply to this, which is that if in any given year they do not meet the requirements of raising a certain amount of money, they will fall off of the tax checkoff. Pretty simple, pretty good. I urge an aye vote.
Any further discussion on the committee report? Seeing no further discussion on the committee report, the question before the body is the adoption of the Finance Committee report. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, no. Finance Committee report passes. Representative Byrd to the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So members, this is a great bill supporting an incredible organization that does so much to bring affordable for-sale housing to hardworking Coloradans. This enables taxpayers, if they happen to have an income tax refund, to check off on their income tax form and direct any refund that they might wish to contribute to Habitat for Humanity. I strongly urge an aye vote to help this great organization and allow taxpayers to be part of the affordable housing solution.
Representative McKean.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm not a fan of government being in the fundraising business. And so I actually have never supported a checkoff until it was this. And this is why. Habitat for Humanity is literally the best process to help the people who need help the most in finding housing. And 100%. I look at affordable housing as a problem we can never solve. This allows people to help solve it themselves. And so I'm absolutely proud to be on this bill, absolutely proud to support it. I would suggest that all of you, when you do your taxes in another month, that you check this off, bump in a little bit, and then you're responsible for it staying on there, and you can hold your heads high.
Yes.
There we go. That's what I was looking for. I urge an aye vote. Dave, is that enough time? I mean, Representative Williams.
All right, the question before the body is passage of House Bill 1049. Representative Liston.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Well, members, I rise in support of this bill too, because it really gives the people who are benefiting, you know, they're putting their own sweat equity into this. And so they've got not just the money coming in, but they're going to take that pride of ownership of having built their own home with a lot of good volunteers, you know, and like Representative McKean said, you know, I don't know if we're ever going to be able to solve the housing problem, but there is a bit of good economic news. Sirius today The housing starts came out. Housing starts are up at record levels, and so the building community is responding. In El Paso County, I can just speak for El Paso County, they're at record levels. Nationwide, housing starts are up. So this is good for America, so I urge and I vote.
Well, I could fine you, or I could let Representative Melton talk. So I'm going to let Representative Melton talk.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just had a point of order. When did we start letting former members speak in the well? We are not in recess.
All right. Well, now we're back from the farm. All those in favor of House Bill 1049 signify by saying aye. All those opposed, no. House Bill 1049 passes. Mr. Randall, please read the title of House Bill 1215.
House Bill 1215 by Representatives Valdez A. and Froelich, also Senator Foote, concerning the continuation of the Water and Wastewater Facility Operator Certification Board in connection with the recommendations contained in 2018 Census Report by the Department of the Trade Agencies.
Representative Froelich.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move House Bill 1215 on second reading. I move the Appropriations Committee report.
To the Appropriations Committee report, Representative Froelich.
Appropriations Committee had the wisdom to vote unanimously to appropriate appropriate funds.
Sounds good. All right. All those in favor of the Appropriations Committee report, seeing no further discussion, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. The Appropriations Committee report passes. To the bill, Representative Valdez A.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. It is an honor to serve with you.
An honor to serve with you as well.
This is a great bill. It helps keep our water clean. Please vote yes.
Further discussion on House Bill 1215. Seeing no further discussion, the question before the body is the passage of House Bill 1215. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, no. House Bill 1215 passes. Mr. Randall, please read the title to House Bill 1229 with Representative Buentello.
House Bill 1229 by Representative Buentello, also Senator Cook, concerning authorizing the Peace Officer Standards Training Board to establish a scholarship program for law enforcement agencies with limited resources to assist the agencies with the payment of tuition costs for peace officer candidates to attend an approved basic law enforcement training academy.
Representative Buentello.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move the Appropriations Committee report.
I don't believe there is an appropriation
No
on this, so I think we can go
Yes.
straight to the bill. You can just move House Bill 1229.
I move House Bill 1229 to the Committee of the Whole about this bill.
To the bill.
About this bill. Many of you guys may or may not know, rural areas, we really struggle with recruiting and retaining a lot of different professions, but in particular public professions such as peace officers and law enforcement officers, which is where this bill comes from. I'm very proud that this is a bill that comes out of my constituency, out of specifically Otero County. What this will allow rural sheriffs to do is to send contracted cadets to post-certification school, which is the school you got to go to in order to become a law enforcement official. There is no appropriation because this will come out of the department's own money and will allow them to contract with the local law enforcement agencies. So, very proud of this. Good bill, vote yes.
All right, further discussion on House Bill 1229. President Benavides.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and I want to thank the sponsor of the bill. I think this is a good bill because especially in rural areas, we do need help in getting law enforcement. The issue that I have, and I have an amendment, and I want to move Amendment L001 and ask that it be displayed.
All right, and the packet was given to our staff. All right, Amendment L001 has been moved and now is properly displayed to the amendment, Representative Benavides.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And what this amendment does, members, is that this would allow post funds to be put in a scholarship to pay for the college tuition and fees for people that are interested in becoming post-certified. But they have not been offered a job or anything else. So they could get their college education and walk away and never apply for a job. All this amendment says is that if they complete the program and get the funds through this, then if they haven't taken a job in public safety within 5 years, they have to pay it back to Post, so then it can be used for someone else. So I would urge a yes vote on the amendment.
Further discussion on the amendment, Representative Buentello.
Ladies and gentlemen, I consider this a friendly amendment. I just think it's important that if they get the benefit of local tax dollars, that they follow through on that darn thing and make sure they come work for us in rural Colorado.
To the amendment, Representative Sandridge.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I stand in support of this amendment because this, the purpose of this amendment, it does happen. They'll come in here and they'll get post-certified on the government's dime, then go someplace else. So we need some type of guardrails in there. So I stand in strong support. Thank you.
Further discussion on the amendment, Representative Sane.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and I do also support this amendment, although if everybody was post-certified, everybody would have guns. So, but this does make sense. If we are expending the funds, this makes a lot of sense to make sure that they do get a job within 5 years. So thank you for bringing this amendment.
Further discussion on Amendment L001. Seeing no further discussion on the amendment, all those in favor of Amendment L001 signify by saying aye. Opposed, no. L001 passes. We are back to the bill. Representative Liston.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Members, this is a good bill. You know, I think it's important that people be post-certified, and so this, you know, what's good for the goose is good for the gander. So with that, I would like to move L002 and ask that it be displayed.
L002 has been moved and is properly displayed.
So thank you. So members, you know, I am all in favor of our good law enforcement officers to be post-certified, and if the trainees are going to be post-certified, I think it makes inherently good sense that our sheriffs, who are going to assume this awesome responsibility of running these departments from county to county, that they be post-certified. So I respectfully ask for an aye vote for L002.
Representative Buentello.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I ask for a title ruling.
All right, we'll be in a brief recess while we discuss the title ruling. Committee will come back to order. And Chair rules that the amendment falls outside of a very tightly written title. All right, to the bill. Further discussion, Representative Sane.
Mr. Chair, I think the chair of this committee of the whole should be post-certified because that was shot down awfully fast.
Post haste, even. All right, Representative Soper.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chair. So I heard this bill in committee, and I voted for this bill. I support it as well. But one thing that came out in committee was that if you look at page 3 of the bill, it talks about rural and smaller jurisdictions with limited resources due to their size or location, and then to assist the agencies with the payment of tuition costs, and then it continues on. What's lacking here is a definition of what rural or smaller jurisdictions would be with limited resources. And I asked the question in committee, and the answer I was given is that under federal law, that would be 35 officers or post-certified officers or less. And so I just wanted to offer Amendment L003 to just make this a little bit more clear, and move Amendment L003 and ask.
L003 is moved. It is properly displayed to the amendment, Representative Soper.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Chair. So this just says, as defined by federal law, is what it adds to it as well, so that we are clear that it's not just expanding the definition of rural or small in rulemaking to where we have it mean 100-person agency or 1,000-person agency, to where a bill that's actually intended to help places like Delta County or Hinsdale County, that it doesn't just go to Denver County. And I would offer it and ask for a yes vote.
All right, from Delta to now Pueblo County, Representative Buentello.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Representative Soper. I do find this amendment duplicative just because, this is defined in state statute. However, I have no particular issue with it. And, being that I do represent such a rural area, 3,000 square miles, in case y'all were curious, I'm always a little wary of any kind of statute that, doesn't have a super tight definition of what rural is. So I see this as a friendly amendment and vote aye.
All right, any further discussion on Amendment L003? The question before the body, seeing no further discussion, is the passage of L003. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. L003 passes. We are back to the bill. Any further discussion on House Bill 1229 as amended? Representative Buentello.
Good bill. Let's support our rural cops. Vote yes.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, the question before the body is the passage of House Bill 1229 as amended. All those in favor signify by saying aye. All those opposed, no. House Bill 1229 passes. All right, Mr. Randall, please read the title to House Bill 1270.
House Bill 1270 by Representative Michelson Janae, House Senator Fields, considering the consent of one parent for a licensed professional person to treat a minor for a behavioral health disorder.
Representative Michelson Janae.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move House Bill 1270 and the Public Health Care Committee report.
To the Public Health Care Committee report.
In the committee report, we made sure that this bill would not supersede a judicial order.
Any further discussion on the committee report? Seeing no further discussion on the Public Health Care and Human Services Committee report, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, no. Committee report passes. To the bill, Representative Michelson Janae.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This bill gives physicians the authority to serve a child in a behavioral health care treatment with only one parent present.
Any further discussion? Representative Pelton.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you for bringing the bill. I heard this bill in committee, and there was quite a little discussion around how, sometimes in a fragile marriage that this may kind of drive a wedge in between the parents to tend to, just completely kill that relationship. So that was one of the reasons I was a no vote in committee.
Representative Singh.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and I'm sympathetic to what the sponsor is trying to do, but we're actually flipping parental rights on its head, and what we've been doing in Colorado. The default right now is a no. If a parent says, I don't want mental health for my child, or mental health therapist visit, and that could be for several reasons. That could be for deeply held personal religious beliefs. At this point, it doesn't mean that the child isn't going to receive therapy if the other parent wants it. It just means that there maybe have to be a court proceeding or some other intervention. What this bill would do is the parent who wants the treatment the default is now yes, and the other parent has to go to court and fight. In states where we've seen this flipped on its head, as this bill is attempting to do, there's been some just egregious things going on that shouldn't be happening. So I think the safest thing is to have the default still as no. I appreciate why you're bringing the bill forward. If it was about a child making imminent threats or exigent threats of self-harm or suicide, that's covered in the law that we have already. That child would receive help. And in fact, because of bills that were passed previous years, they'd actually, at certain ages, don't even have to seek the consent of a parent anymore if they have expressed self-harm or suicidal ideation. So I think what we have now is a network of law that provides just the right amount of protection for our children. So again, I very much appreciate what the sponsor is trying to do. I feel for those parents that are in conflict about this. That's never a pretty picture. But I think what we have now protects children more. And so I urge a no vote on the bill.
Further discussion, Representative Sandridge.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and I want to thank you for bringing the bill forward, definitely. I do understand what you're trying to do. It's difficult to get kids into getting help. It really is. It's a struggle. It really is a struggle. Only reason I did vote no on it is just because I thought it was a little bit broad. It didn't focus specifically on kids that have direct suicidal ideations at that time. But you know, this is a concern. I see what you're doing, and just like a lot of bills that I vote no on, you know, if it does pass, hopefully it will be successful. Thank you.
Further discussion, Representative Humphrey.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and I agree with my colleagues who have risen in opposition to the bill. I think that what we have currently in statute shows better respect for both parents in the relationship and a more deliberative process. And so I rise in opposition to the bill and think that we should leave things the way they are. Thank you.
Further discussion, Representative Geithner.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Members, I'd bring your attention to page 2, line 16. It says, as used in this section, minor means a person who is under 15 years of age. So under 15 means that, according to this, if adopted, the definition of minor would be 14. I just have real concern with defining a minor as 14 years old. And so I would urge a no vote on this bill, because I don't think that that's appropriate that we define a minor at 14 years old. What about the 15, 16, 17-year-olds? So I would just urge a no vote.
Further discussion? Seeing no further discussion, the question before the body is the passage of House Bill 1270. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed say no. House Bill 1270 passes. Mr. Assistant Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good work today, everybody. I move the committee rise and report.
All right, you've heard the motion. The committee will rise and report.
The House will come back to order. Mr. Randall, please read the report of the Committee of the Whole.
Madam Speaker, your committee whole big leave report it has had under consideration upon touch business the recommendations on House Bill 1022, amended House Bill 1024, amended House Bill 1032, amended House Bill 1049, amended House Bill 1060, amended House Bill 1066, amended House Bill 1136, amended House Bill 1145, amended House Bill 1165, amended House Bill 1215, amended House Bill 1229, amended House Bill 1270, amended House Bill 1275, amended passage regardless of counted for 30 final passage. Senate Bill 43 and Senate Bill 113 passing or revised police counted for 30 final passage. House Bill 1178 is laid over as amended until February 25th, 2020. Entertaining is placed on the calendar. House Bill 1266 is laid over until February 25th, 2020. Entertaining is placed on the calendar.
Representative Singer. You all have heard the motion. There are no amendments. Mr. Randall, please open the machine and members, please vote. Hooton, Jackson, McKean. McKean, whenever you're ready. Jackson. All right, Representative Jackson will be excused. Please close the machine. With 40 aye votes, 19 no votes, and 6 excused, the report of the Committee of the Whole is passed. I have a couple announcements. Representative Jackson, that's a $5 fine. Hey, Representative Coleman, you don't pay for those.
It's all good.
Representative Wilson.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Is it possible to hold an auction down here and see how long it'll take Representative Coleman to close his wallet?
I have a couple announcements. Representative Duran will replace Representative Hawkes Lewis on Public Health and Human Services today only. And Representative McKean will substitute for Representative Liston, who I'm not even sure is a member here anymore, but. In Public Health today only. Any other announcements? Representative Byrd.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Members of the Finance Committee, we will be meeting upon adjournment on Monday instead of in the afternoon. So mark your calendars and remember, Finance Committee, Monday on adjournment.
Representative Esgar.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Members of Joint Budget Committee, all 2 of you, and anybody else who's interested in joining us, we will be meeting this afternoon. Keep your phones near you. We're waiting for the Senate to actually finish what they're working on. So then when they adjourn, we'll meet.
Representative Singer.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Members of the Public Healthcare and Human Services Committee, including new members today, we will be laying over Senate Bill 87, but we will be hearing House Bill 1206 at high noon.
Representative Roberts.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Members of the Rural Affairs and Agriculture Committee, similar announcement to Representative Byrd. We're going to meet Monday upon adjournment, not at 1:30, but upon adjournment on Monday for Rural Affairs. Thank you.
Majority Leader Garnett.
Thank you, Madam Speaker and members. Just a quick update on schedule for next week. There's a lot of work coming through. We are going to come back to the floor on Monday afternoon for consideration of general orders, second reading of bills. So just want to make sure I gave you guys the heads up on that. Also, there's just a lot of work coming through, so there may be more evenings we're coming back next week, but as soon as I have a better sense of that, I will communicate with the Minority Leader and the Assistant Minority Leader.
Any other announcements or introductions? Seeing none, Majority Leader Garnett.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I move that the House stand in recess until later today.
Seeing no objection, the House will be in recess till later today.